Francis Time predicts low double-digit economic growth for this year. SJM unveils Cotai project. SAR's Facebook location name changes from Ao Mun to Macau following campaign. Good evening. The Secretary for Economy and Finance says he expects that Macau's economy will grow at a low double-digit rate again this year. Francis Time also estimates that Macau's inflation rate will stand at 5 to 6%.
The Economic Development Committee held the first meeting of the Year of the Horse. The prospects of the local economy were on the agenda. The Secretary of Economy and Finance estimates that Macau's economic development will remain stable this year.
The growth rate will be similar to that of 2013. It's going to be a low double-digit growth.
Although the gaming revenue growth rate has slowed down in January, Francis Tam thinks the economic basis will be more stable and healthy.
As everybody can see, ups and downs in Macau's economy from the data of the past 2 months. But in general, we think it's fairly stable. We estimate the gaming revenue growth will remain at a comparatively stable level.
Francis Tam also points out that the diversification of gaming customers can have a positive impact on the economy, as more middle-class and wealthy visitors are expected to come to town.
These middle-class and high-consumption tourists not only gamble, but also spend money in the city. They go shopping, buy food and beverages, so the entire economy will change in accordance with the structural change of the gambler's profile, and it can help stabilize Macau's economic development.
Macau's inflation was recorded as 5.5% increase in 2013. Francis Tam says this is mainly because the increase of tourists that leads to price hikes in the catering industry. For this year, he also anticipates a 5 to 6% increase in consumer prices. The Secretary expects a slowdown in the growth of the tourism industry.
Francis Time also said he's confident that Macau will be able to cope with manpower needs in the coming couple of years. However, SJM CEO Amber So suggests changes to the government's human resources policies. He says it will be beneficial for local residents to allow some imported workers to become gaming table dealers.
We wouldn't say that the government has done a very outstanding job in amending human resources policy. But at least at this stage, the policy is in line with Macau's actual situation and it meets the needs of Macau's economic development. If only Macau residents can work as table dealers, then they'll have no chances to get promoted, and after they get promoted, I can't employ people for replacement. We can promote some of them if we can partially use foreign labor, and I believe we can find a workable solution.
Amber So was talking during the groundbreaking ceremony of SJM's new Cotai property. It's called Lisboa Palace. The gaming operator CEO says Macau doesn't need replicas of tourist attractions that exist in other places. That's why they came up with an original project.
So in the Year of the Horse, SJM is leaping out of the starting gate here in Cotai and confidently charging ahead with an integrated resort that will give pleasure to millions, employment to thousands, and become a landmark of which Macau will be proud of.
For now, it's just a construction site. Once it's ready by 2017, it's expected to look like this. SJM says Lisboa Palace will have 3 hotels with a total of 2,000 rooms in the first phase. There will also be a facility for weddings and shows, shops, restaurants, and of course a casino with 700 gaming tables and 1,200 slot machines.
SJM's commitment to Macau's unique setting as a melting pot of Eastern and Western culture is consistent with a view that Macau should always remain uniquely Macau and not simply a copy of other markets.
SJM will finally set its foothold in Cotai. The competition is set to heat up with the other operators building their casino resorts. That's the case of Sands China with Little Paris, a property which will feature a replica of the Eiffel Tower.
Why not they can go to Paris and look at the authentic one? Why you need to have a replica here? So why you should go to a museum? Because you want to see the originals. You don't want to see replicas. We can do a lot of things here, replicating all the fake ones, but you don't want that.
Lisboa Palace is set to cost some 30 billion patakas. Until the end of the year, SJM is expected to announce the merger between this land plot and another one granted to the company's executive director, Angela Leong.
The Creative Industries Fund is set to be ready for use in the second semester of the year. Members of the Creative Industries Council gathered this morning to discuss the application of the funds in the sector. Vice President Choi Sai-ping warned that future candidates should think about the feasibility of the projects they present.
Today was the first meeting of the Council for Creative Industries after the Chinese New Year. The Council is now preparing the implementation of the new fund that was announced in October to aid the industry sector. They are also studying future rules for the attribution of fiscal support and models to later hand in proposals to the government. However, at the end of this morning's meeting, the Vice President of the Council left a warning, saying that the funds must be spent appropriately.
This is not a handout, but actually it's an encouragement for people to start and make it into a real business. Because the industry we're looking for is a real business accomplishment. And that is the fruit of our labor. It's not how much the government gives us, but how much we can get into the business with the help of some kind of fund, and that, I think, is a very important message.
Therefore, he left a message for future candidates.
It is going to be a business deal, so they should be careful in developing their business plan and make sure that business plan is sound and safe so that our government's investment or subsidies or help will not be wasted.
Choi Sai-ping added that the funds will be available in the second half of the year. The government has allocated 200 million patakas for the Creative Industry Fund, which will grant subsidies and interest-free loans to companies and projects.
The number of credit cards billed in renminbi has increased to 140,000 at the end of December. Statistics from the Monetary Authority show that yuan-denominated credit cards increased by 6.1% compared with 3 months earlier. The growth was driven by an increase in pataka renminbi dual currency cards. Monetary Authority of Macau figures show there are more than 750,000 credit cards. Facebook is reported to have changed the SAR's location name to Macau, following an online movement against the use of the name Aumen. The campaign was launched by a group of local residents. The activists say they wanted to preserve local culture through this campaign.
When we marked our location on Facebook, instead of Macau, it always showed that the city is named Aumen, the phonetic romanization of Macau in Mandarin. Macau Conscience member Suluso started a campaign a few days ago on Facebook, urging the social network to change the name back to Macau. More than 1,600 people have joined it. Facebook finally changed Aumen to Macau at noon yesterday. Suluso says this is a successful campaign and appreciates the swift action of Facebook.
For us who have been striving for social rights, their action is really fast. However, it might be normal for foreign governments or corporations to take people's collective will seriously.
Suluso believes the campaign is a reflection of some Macau people's dislike towards the mainland. But he doesn't think the campaign is by any means recalling colonialism.
When mainland policies like the individual visit scheme spread to Macau, we welcome them. at the beginning, but people became indifferent to them, then started to dislike them and resist them. Our intention to preserve the name Macau is not because it's made by the colonialist government, but it's our own culture.
Taking account that almond is the Mandarin pronunciation of Macau, Macau Conscience admits that the campaign is a certain way of localization, but they deny that it is anti-mainlandization. However, Macau Conscience reiterates that they are trying to defend the uniqueness of Macau culture, to avoid more Macau places from changing their names into Pinyin.
The culture originated in mainland China is trying to crush existing uses in favor of its own Pinyin system. If we don't defend Macau, we fear that other places or in the 40 years of the existence of the SAR, many places will be renamed using the Hanyu Pinyin system instead of original names.
A history expert also thinks we should refer to the city as Macau instead of almond, but he says it's not related to politics but only of technical reasons, and foreign countries have been calling this city as Macau for centuries. There are quite many explanations on why the Portuguese call this city Macau. History expert Lam Fat Yam supports the version that the name comes from Ama Temple. He says besides transliteration, place names in foreign languages can also come from how foreigners understand the place.
Just like Macau or Taiwan's early name Formosa are both foreign names that don't follow transliteration. The reason why we use the name Macau is not that we yield to the colonialists and how they named us, but the name has become a fact. In foreign countries or in the English world, people won't use almond in their document discourse. They will definitely use Macau.
He identifies that the localization in Macau is rising, and it has been staying at moderate level of caring for local culture, and has not been a tool for xenophobia. He believes the localization comes from the anxiety from cultural impact.
We have been quite concerned about disputes regarding traditional Chinese characters versus simplified ones, or Cantonese versus Mandarin, or Macau versus almond. They're all collective expressions of cultural anxiety. We're under such a rapidly globalization and modernization process that we are anxious about our identity.
But why is the Macau localization not targeting globalization but the mainland? Lam Fat Yam says this is also because Chinese people's humanistic quality doesn't meet their economic level. TDM tried to contact Facebook on this issue, but Facebook did not respond by the time the news is on air.
2 female students were injured after being hit by marble that fell from the Financial Services Bureau building. Police say one of the students has been discharged, while the other one is still in hospital for observation.
The 2 students were walking on the sidewalk next to the Finance Services Bureau building. All of a sudden, 2 pieces of marble fell and hit them. One of the girls suffered a head injury and the other one's leg was injured. They were both conscious while being sent to hospital.
I heard it was very loud and then I saw it fall on the ground. Other people gave the girl tissue after they noticed that her head was injured.
A newspaper store owner is worried of being hit in the future. Are you worried?
I'm a bit scared and plan to move around a bit.
The Finance Services Bureau says they have always been responsible about the maintenance work. They also say they had already sent staff to visit the 2 students. The Bureau says an insurance company will take care of the compensation.
Police found a dead body floating in Nanvan Lake. Authorities say it was a 48-year-old Hong Kong resident. They found no obvious injuries in his body. The body was found by staff of the Civic and Municipal Affairs Bureau nearby the artificial island in the Nanvan Nautical Center. The cause of death is pending results of an autopsy. U.S. Chief of Naval Operations Jonathan Greenett says the United States will support the Philippines. The comments came amid a dispute with China over islands in the South China Sea.
But of course we would help you. Now, I don't know what that help would be specifically. I mean, we have an obligation because we have a treaty, right? But I don't know to what capacity that help is. Aggressive behavior outside of international norms, not using established procedures for international, is contrary to, I'll call it, good order out here, and we have to manage. We oppose it. I think we stand by it is about freedom of navigation. I think that's still the centerpiece of it. But I think the preponderance and the collection of activity by China has caused us to want to be more clear on where we stand on this.
South Korea has rejected a demand by its northern neighbor to postpone the month's military drills with the United States to avoid overlapping the planned reunion of families separated during the Korean War. The demand was made at a rare high-level meeting held yesterday between the North and South.
North Korea demanding the postponement of the U.S.-South Korea joint exercise until after the family reunions. We emphasized that the family reunion is really a humanitarian issue and it should not be linked with political and military matters. We sent our clear message that we cannot accept the postponement. Military units have already started moving for conducting the drills, and the troops are supposed to participate in the drills as planned. It's not appropriate to link it to the family reunions.
Time for the Asia Roundup, with more stories making headlines across the region.
Violence climbs in Pakistan amid peace talks between government and Taliban representatives. An explosion targeting a bus full of Pakistani policemen killed 11 and injured 33 near the southern port city of Karachi. Many question whether the Taliban will be able to strike a compromise with the government. Others worry that there are too many militant groups in Pakistan to negotiate with. Several such groups not included in the talks have carried out bloody bombings of markets, churches and mosques. Former Japanese Prime Minister Tomichi Murayama met South Korean Prime Minister Chung Hong-won in Seoul. During the visit, he met with women who were forced into sexual servitude by the Japanese army. Despite the 1995 Murayama statement apologizing for the suffering of its Asian neighbors caused by wartime aggression, Japan has refused to pay direct compensation to the so-called comfort women survivors. Thick smoke from land-clearing forest fires in Indonesia continue to choke the island of Sumatra. Illegal burning of forests to clear space for palm oil plantations is a chronic problem, sometimes affecting neighboring countries such as Malaysia and Singapore. In 1997 and 1998, the smog disrupted air and sea traffic, causing an estimated $9 billion in terms of economic, social and environmental losses, according to the Association of Southeast Asian Nations.
Australian police in New South Wales arrested 12 people over a $13.5 million haul of methamphetamine. Authorities say the group has produced and sold large amounts of cannabis and ice. They also said they seized 9 kilograms of ice with an estimated value of $9 million Australian dollars in a raid at Gundagai. Police added they also raided another 11 properties in Sydney, Canberra, and near Griffiths, Cowra, and Batsman's Bay. Now sports. In the 2014 Sochi Winter Olympics figure skating, Chinese lovebirds pair Peng Qing and Tong Jian missed out on a medal. As two Chinese champions of the World Championship and silver winner of the last Winter Olympic Games, Peng Qing and Tong Jian made a graceful show in the pairs figure skating game. Unfortunately, 34-year-old Peng Qing made several small mistakes in her technical movements, and their move was a little out of sync. Their final score was 209.88, around 5 points less than the bronze winners. Partners of 20 years, they regretfully bid farewell to their sports career. And the host Russia secured the first and second place. It is the second Sochi Olympic gold for the Russian pair, who helped their country to inaugurate team title last week by winning the short program. The crew aboard the International Space Station captured a night view of Sochi, Russia. It clearly shows the site of the 2014 Winter Olympics. Fischler Stadium, where the opening ceremonies were held on February 7, is easily recognizable as the bright circular structure. Filipino couples exchanged ideas at the seaside mass wedding ahead of Valentine's Day. 180 couples walked down the aisle along the shore of Rosario, about 40 kilometers south of Manila, joining a silver union ceremony before dawn. Flowers were dug the arrow as the couple marched hand in hand to the tune of a Filipino love song. The ceremony was organized by the local mayor, who annually officiated mass silver weddings. The couples exchanged vows and rings, promising a lifetime of devotion.
And now you may kiss the bride. Naku naman, todo. Ayan. Wala na labas nila, Sarah.
31 couples gathered in Pattaya, Thailand in an attempt to break the Guinness World Record for the longest hug in a pre-Valentine's Day event. The current record is held by a British pair, Sandra Jones and Mick Lear, in 2013. Their hug lasted for 25 hours, 22 minutes and 36 seconds. The rule states that all participants must hug their partner continuously, and both arms must be wrapped around each other at all times. If the hug weakens or if arms drop, the couple is immediately disqualified.
This contest might be more difficult. It is different from the kissing contest because we cannot move. We still have free movement for the kissing contest.
We think to take part in this competition is very interesting. We have never done this before.
For those who are still searching for Valentine, online dating has taken a leap to a whole new experience. New online dating website FindYourFaceMate.com helps users find love by scanning for the perfect match based entirely on a picture.
Still looking for love online? Well, if you want to mate with a specific trait, there may just be a dating site dedicated to it. FarmersOnly.com, VeggieDate.org, Date My Pet, Tall Dating, even Zombie Harmony, just to name a few. Lori Davis, the author of Love at First Click, breaks it down.
There are two different types of niche sites. There are niche sites that lead with interests and religion and all the stuff that we're talking about. But there's a new niche that's emerging also. They're leading with technology. They're leading with a different user experience, whether it's Facebook connecting and allowing you to see your friends of friends, or whether it's, connecting you to Spotify and allowing you to pull in your music into your profile.
Music, interests, that's all good. But what about that first impression? It's usually based on photos. So how about a site that scans your photo and recommends someone that looks like you? FindYourFaceMate.com does just that.
If you think about it, we do this on every dating website that we go to. You look at the pictures first and you scroll through the pictures and you try to see where do you feel some chemistry? Where are you attracted? And that's really fundamentally what we do, is we find those people to whom we think you're going to be most attracted based on facial characteristics.
Michelle Mafia says it worked for her. She found her last boyfriend on the site.
And I thought he was really handsome, and I thought, all right, well, let me just meet him before I make that decision for sure, because you never know with a picture. But when I met him, I was immediately attracted to him, yeah.
But in the end, the true measure of success is being able to turn that online attraction into offline love.
And now let's take a look at the weather forecast for Friday. It'll be cloudy with some light rain at first. Temperatures will range between 5 and 9 degrees Celsius. That's all for our newsroom. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.